12 minutes is a real challenge for me. Two words that are not used to describe me are short-winded. I like to talk. I once did a 4-hour talk, and I think I had 2 hours left. So my goal in any talk is to try to create a material shift in the people who are listening. So to do that in 12 minutes, I've tried to condense it, and I have a feeling it might even go shorter than 12 minutes. We'll see. I'm going to tie a few threads into the, from the speakers who went before me. The first one that I thought of was that Dove commercial. Obviously, raising, powerful and strong women is a little very important side project of mine. Even though she loves My Little Pony more than she wants me to speak. And I quite literally sent her to an all-girls school, because they've done studies and they show that 12-year-old girls, as soon as you put a boy near them, they act dumber and they act much less assertive right away. Right? So just little stuff like that I believe in terms of raising a powerful and amazing woman. Then we talk about pursuing our dreams, and I talked a little bit about that for myself. And we talked about Timothy Ferriss and 4-Hour Workweek. Funny thing is, the people I know who kind of know him, he never works 4 hours a week. That's the funniest thing, right? He works like 60 hours a week, right? So, but is a very smart guy. And I'll talk about my superpower is change. So that's kind of why it's up here. It's front and center on my mind right now is the creation of my own playbook, which is something that I worked on my theories for a long time, and now I'm at the playbook stage. So this is the very basic top line of it. This whole thing could take a whole weekend, but we're going to do it in 5 minutes. So, to give you just a quick little insight into, why you should listen to me, I've always been an entrepreneur. I've never had a career. There are 2 assessments for wealth. There's a certain level of assets and a certain level of income. So I have attained both of those. I've been lucky enough. I have 2 mentees that I've coached who are now into that bracket as well, and have become extremely successful. And for the people who know me, every quarter there's significant change and growth in my own life. So what I'm going to talk about today is change. And the big shift that I wanted to create is, everyone sort of, generally speaking, people want to change, right? I want to lose weight, I want to be healthier, I want to make more money, etc., right? We're trying to improve our lot in life, right? And the little shift, I think it's very important, but it's very significant when I think about it, is that for me, change is a skill set as opposed to something that I do. So it's a skill set that has, for me, a very particular definitions for what that skill set looks like. And it takes real work and effort and practice to be good at it. So I consider myself to be a very high-level change agent. And so the shift is, when I think about I want to change something in my life, I apply these skill sets that I have, and I also tweak them, to change and grow in one particular area. I will think more about what parts of my skill sets do I need to change so that I can affect the change that I want, rather than just jumping out and doing it. That makes sense, hopefully. So, I wrote here, for me, positive change equals growth. That's my definition of growth, personal or whatever, because change in and of itself can suck sometimes. And change, it's very important to notice that change is a significant investment of resources, right? If you want to lose a lot of weight or make a lot of money or significantly improve your love life, that's a big deal. It's like a big deal. It's going to take a lot of work and a lot of time and a lot of new skills building. And I think that's something that I've learned the hard way. I think as humans, we're all hardwired to try to do the 4-hour work week or passive income, or how do I just all of a sudden be miraculously awesome at things that I kind of sucked at before. And it's important to know that it actually is a big deal. It's a big deal to be healthy. It's a big deal to have a stable Doesn't mean they're impossible, it's just a big deal. So what I put here is, this is my little graph. I try to boil things down to make it really easy. So for change, we have positive change equals growth. So we have where I start, we've got the process, and where I end. And I know that sounds really stupid and kind of obvious, but this is how I think about things. I try to kind of boil them down, and then I go from there. I'm going to just throw out a lot of stuff. There's a lot of really good books out there right now that can help you really jump and improve your change skill set. There's a lot of threads in these books that are kind of all converging together. So that's kind of why I'm sort of in this process of just writing it out into some simple steps, because, you know, everyone's got their own different angle, but they're kind of saying the same thing, I find. One of the key things is there's generally accepted that there's 4 buckets of areas in my life that I want to improve on. My physical life, which includes how much money I have, but it's also how healthy I am, and my body and all that stuff. My emotional life, so that's, you know, your love life, your friends, and all that sort of stuff. Your spiritual, what's your purpose on this planet, right? You know, what's your connection to the planet itself, and all that sort of stuff. And the mental, right? It's what you know, your brain, you know, what you believe in, all that sort of good stuff. And typically, as a good rule of thumb, you know, each quarter I'll try to focus more on one, but I do have improvement plans for all 4, because they're all interrelated. So I'm just going to go through that chart really quickly, and then I'm basically done. So for A, the most important part about A that I actually find is very difficult to do properly is to have an honest and accurate assessment of where you're at, of what your beginning state is. Generally speaking, for the most part, your friends and family are the worst people to ask about this. Generally speaking, everyone gets kind of bought in, generally as in groups, into certain group truths and all this sort of stuff, and NLP talks about this. And so it's difficult to get really clear about where you're at. So that in itself is a skill set. One of the best things I've ever done is a full and really good 360-degree assessment. So I took somebody who was very smart, went around and interviewed everybody that I know, as many people as I could think of that were willing to spend an hour, and then that person thoughtfully combined all that and then gave that report to me, which was very lengthy. A lot of this stuff I already knew, but a lot of it was really good information. And I have methodologies in my life for keeping A clear and consistent in all areas of my life. And that's taken real effort and thought. The second part, B, is pretty tough. So B is the application of resources through a framework. So I said over here, change is a significant investment of resources, time, money, and energy. And the framework is, how do I change? So there's 2 really great books, if you want to look at them, that are kind of saying the same thing through different methodologies. One is called Influencer, and the other one is called Switch, just came out. Both of those talk about methodologies for change. So a lot of people are starting to discover how to create rapid and massive change, whether it's in groups of population or in yourself personally. I'll let you read the books, very interesting. So those will give you a really good framework, and then you got to decide what resources you're going to put behind it, etc., and then actually do the work. And then C is your goal. And I think most people have heard this already. You know, your goals have to have a date. They've got to be attainable, but a little bit tough. Like, you want to sweat a little bit on your goal. You actually want to achieve it, and it's fun to even overachieve it. So don't make them impossible. If you've honestly assessed where A is, you know, I always hated the people who were like, oh, I'm going to be like worth $10 million. And if you honestly look at A, they're not really worth anything right now. It's not a good goal. I don't think it really helps you or anything. It's not realistic for where you're at, etc. So, you know, you want to celebrate your stuff along the way, but there really is a constant review and refinement of your goals, right? You know, you set it, maybe it's not right, maybe you need to pull it back, pull it forward. I mean, I'm constantly reviewing my goals and I'm shifting them all the time, but I'm always kind of moving forward. So that's it. This gives me a lot of hope for the future, and just randomly tying this into hope, because this is how you grow and get a lot happier. So anyway.